Welcome back. Well, we have the economy going to hell in a handbasket, inflation, interest rates, the lot, plus the energy crisis, power shortfalls, threats of blackouts. It's just chaotic. But obviously these issues have not just kind of appeared out of nowhere. Joining me now is John Roskam to take a look at the big picture root cause of these issues. John is, of course, the Executive Director of the Institute of Public Affairs, which I tell people they should subscribe to, John, ipa.org.au for the Institute of Public Affairs. You do such a sensational job there, John. We're being told that history is repeating itself and we're on the brink of a 1970s-style stagflation, which we saw yesterday with the worst day on the Australian stock market in 2 years. What's causing all this, John?
Well, Labor's only been in power for, what, 2 or 3 weeks?
They move fast.
We've already got this. Well, they're Whitlamite in more ways than one. But, Rowan, everything we are seeing is man-made. We have caused this. Australians have assumed that we are lucky, but you don't make luck. The energy crisis that we're seeing now has been warned about by the IPA and others for nearly now a decade. But we were told only invest more in renewables, a few $1 billion more here and there will make a difference. And now we are seeing what for most Australians is unbelievable. So today in Sydney, residents are told to turn off the power. This is unbelievable. We've got the Reserve Bank of Australia making mistake after mistake and not being held to account. We've got the effects of the government's disastrous response to COVID. All of these things are the result of bad decisions. They are the result of our prosperity and our success. We always assumed we'd have a Bob Hawke or a John Howard, or even maybe on a bad day, Paul Keating. But we ended up with Kevin Rudd and Malcolm Turnbull, and this is now the consequence.
And so, John, we're seeing an increase in interest rates. We're seeing the minimum wage this afternoon even greater than what Albo tried to deny he was planning during the election. There was a great line, John, in the Australian newspaper today from Tom Dusevic, who said that it's a cold winter, but the heat is on. The Reserve Bank of Australia to take us out of emergency settings, to kill off inflation and not to blow up an economy. Well, do you think the RBA can do it? I'm not sure I share his optimism, but you tell me, John.
Well, Philip Lowe's got everything wrong so far, and it's not as if he wasn't told. So the idea that he only said in October interest rates would not be going up for at least 12 to 24 months, I believe did lead people to make decisions based on what the governor of the RBA said. And now homeowners, people taking out loans are going to suffer. This was all entirely predictable. For someone like me who entered the job market in the recession that we had to have, thanks to Paul Keating, someone like me has relatively early in their career seen an economy going backwards. We have now an entire generation of Greens voters, an entire generation of well-off, well-heeled Teal voters who assumed everything was affordable, who assumed that there's no mistake the government couldn't make and that wouldn't be fixed, and they are in for a rude shock. And we saw that in the stock market yesterday and today. We've seen that as house prices plummet. This is going to be a very difficult, not just 6 months, but potentially years ahead that Australians have not seen since the 70s.
John, I played earlier I showed a Facebook post from a woman who kind of had the hair shirt mentality that us freezing cold and presumably going without hot water, hot food, light, etc., is a small price to pay for the benefits of saving the planet and the joys that we know that we will never have bushfires again, never have floods or cyclones again because we are all freezing cold this winter. Did the humour strike you more than the absurdity, or was it the other way around?
Oh, Rowan, it was just sadness. And I look at this and I don't think she's joking.
No.
And I ponder all the things that you've been talking about this evening and what we've just been talking about, and I've been thinking that there's been so little pushback to say that Australia can't afford this drive to renewables, to say that reliability is important, to say that maybe net zero is misconceived, or, as you know, Rowan, is to be cast out from polite society, to be called a denier and something worse. But we knew this, and it's been a failure not just of our politicians but of our business leaders. I think of large parts of the media, the ABC, civil society, who have not taken responsibility for what is about to befall us.
And I'll throw someone else into the mix, John, the Pope, our lefty-lovey, eco-minded Pope, who, first of all, he waded into the climate wars, so-called, a while ago, basically giving the blessing, the pontiff blessing to climate change activism. But now he's come out and he's saying that the Russian invasion of Ukraine was provoked by NATO. And he doesn't stop there. He claims that the conflict spawns from, wait for it, no metaphysical good or bad. Okay, so no good or evil there. So why on earth does the Pope feel the need to get involved here is beyond me. But what is he actually doing, John? What's the bigger picture here?
Well, the bigger picture is he's trying to play to a left-wing crowd. He's trying to play to an international crowd that thinks there's fault on both sides. Again, I grew up with the moral clarity of John Paul II. There's good and there's bad, there's evil in the world. Now, what Putin did is no more justified to Ukraine than Hitler's invasion of Poland in 1939 or France in 1940. What we are missing in the world is a moral clarity about what is acceptable and what isn't. And this idea that there's fault on both sides, that maybe Zelensky caused it, that maybe Ukraine was in some way responsible, is entirely misconceived. It's leading to the breakdown of the Church's authority, and I speak as a Catholic, and it is leading to the moral morass that we are in today. And when you have a Pope playing politics like this, no good is going to come from it.
Well, let me just imagine, John, what happens when China chooses to invade Taiwan. The Pope will then again be going, no bad or evil to see here. It's all just it's the Taiwanese provoking the Chinese. This bloke is so far off the moral radar, it's a joke. The Catholic Church, in my opinion, well, all churches have a serious problem with this bloke at the helm, certainly as the Pope. Anyway, John Roskam, thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Credlin.